Welcome to The Weakest Link. The 9 people in the studio here tonight call themselves writers. They're here to try and win up to £50,000 for charity. If they want to win that money, they'll have to work as a team. But 8 of them will be rejected and leave with nothing. As round by round we lose the player voted the weakest link. Let's meet the team.
My name's Andrew Morton, I'm 48 years old and I write groundbreaking biographies.
My name is Tony Hawks, I'm 40 and I write hilarious books based on trying to win daft bets, my biggest seller being Round Island with a Fridge.
I'm Gilly Cooper and I'm 64 and I write steamingly sexy novels.
I'm Sue McGregor, I'm 60. I've just written my first book based on my experience on the Today programme called Woman of Today.
I'm Patrick Neate and I'm 31 and my last novel, 12 Bar Blues, won the Whitbread Novel Prize.
I'm Don Hale, I'm 49 from Derbyshire, an author and journalist. I've just written my first book, Town Without Pity, about my campaign to free Stephen Downing after 27 years in jail.
I'm Lisa Jewell, I'm 33. I write romantic comedy novels like Ralph's Party and One Hit Wonder.
I'm Brian Sewell, I feel 104, and I write steamingly sexy columns for the London Evening Standard.
My name's Toby Young, I feel about 12, and I've just written a book called How to Lose Friends and Alienate People. Anne Robinson wanted that title for her memoirs, but I got that first.
Now the rules. In each round, the aim is to answer enough questions correctly to reach your £5,000 target within the time limit. The fastest way is to create a chain of 9 correct answers. Get your question wrong and you break the chain and lose all the money in that chain. But if you say the word bank before the question is asked, the money is safe. However, you start a new chain from scratch. Remember, team, at the end of the round, only money that has been banked can be taken forward. In round 1, there are 3 minutes on the clock. We'll start with the person whose name is first alphabetically. That's you, Andrew. Let's play The Weakest Link. The first question is for £100. Start the clock. Andrew, in geography, in which European country are there 2 cities called Frankfurt?
Germany.
Correct. Tony, according to the words of the traditional song, what kind of agricultural business was owned by Old MacDonald?
Farm.
Correct. Gilly, in men's fashion, a 2-piece suit typically consists of trousers and which other item of clothing?
A jacket.
Correct. Sue, in tourism, which 4-letter slogan was launched in 2002 to try to tempt foreign tourists to visit Britain?
UK 2-0.
No, UK OK. Patrick, in food, unsweetened or savoury biscuits are known as what? Cookies or crackers?
Crackers.
Correct. Don, in early cinema, the popular team of clowns who appeared in silent films were known as the Keystone what?
Cops.
Correct. Lisa, if you were born on Christmas Eve, on which date is your birthday?
25th, 4th of December.
No, I have to accept your first answer. It's the 24th of December. Brian, in media, in January 2002, Lord Wakeham stepped down as chairman of which self-regulatory institution?
Lord.
No, the Press Complaints Commission.
Yes.
Toby, in January 2002, George W. Bush fainted after choking on what snack food?
A pretzel.
Correct. Andrew, in sport, what hour is the name for an official who watches a game or match to ensure that rules are being adhered to?
Referee.
Correct. Tony,
Bank.
what is the first letter of the word photograph?
P.
Correct. Gilly, in politics, which Prime Minister introduced the community charge to Scotland in 1989?
Mrs. Thatcher.
Correct. Sue, in literature, what was the first name of the author J.M. Barrie?
James.
Correct. Patrick,
Bank.
in the US, which city in Louisiana is famed for the annual celebration of Mardi Gras?
New Orleans.
Correct. Don, in a book, the recto or right-hand pages have which numbers, odd or even?
Even.
No, odd. Lisa, what is the name of the US energy company that announced it was bankrupt in December 2001, the biggest bankruptcy in US corporate history?
Enron.
Correct. Brian, in drink, which fruit is used to make the brandy Calvados?
Apples.
Correct. Toby,
Bank.
in science, bronze is an alloy consisting mainly of tin and which other metal?
Steel.
Copper. Andrew, in the famous 5 Stories by Enid Blyton, what was the name of the dog owned by George?
Lassie.
Timmy. Tony, which ballet by Tchaikovsky was revived over Christmas 2001 by both the Royal Ballet and the English National Ballet?
Swan Lake.
The Nutcracker. Gilly, in 1999, Prince Edward took the title Earl of where?
Wessex.
Correct. Sue, in the UK Parliament, what G is a method of speeding up the passage of a bill named after a device for beheading people?
Guillotine.
Correct.
Bang.
Patrick, in which 2002 computer animated film do Billy Crystal and John Goodman provide the voices for
Shrek.
Time's up. I could not complete the question, and even if I had, you've just given me the wrong answer. In that first round team, out of a possible £5,000, you achieved a tragically low amount of 1,250. Who has just starred in a tragedy of errors? Who puts the thick into thick-bound book? It's time to vote on the weakest link.
As the only player to answer all her questions correctly, Gilly is the first strongest link statistically. Lisa is the weakest link. But will the other players pick up on these facts?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Sue.
Brian.
Don.
Brian.
Brian.
Toby.
Patrick.
Sue.
Brian.
Tony,
Yes. Hello.
remind me what you're famous for?
I'm famous for writing daft books, or hilarious books, based on winning daft bets.
Give me a line from one of your hilarious books.
No.
So we've only your word for it that they're funny.
Yes.
Okay. You know a lot about Tchaikovsky, do you?
Enough to get by.
Not enough to answer the question correctly.
Not much gets past you, does it?
Like Brian Sewell?
Yes.
Familiar with his work?
Familiar enough to get by.
Right. Tell us about one of his columns.
Well, it started at the beginning, there was a middle bit, and then it ended.
So you haven't read any of his columns?
I'm not an expert on Brian Sewell. If I was going to go on Mastermind, I wouldn't pick him as my specialist subject.
Why Brian?
I think he looked like he needed a drink.
Brian, your critics have spoken. Is there anything you'd like to say to these minor writers on their podiums?
Only that, as you well know, I'm at my best first thing in the morning.
Brian, with 4 votes, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I thought I deserved to be thrown off. It's that time of the day when I really... It's too late to recover things, my pathetic old brain. And you can't hold the game up by fluffing and so on, and so you let it go.
Round 2, team. So far you have banked £1,250 out of a possible 5,000. You're down to 8 players. We are now taking 10 seconds off your time. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Gilly. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Gilly, in spelling, which llama has a double L, the Tibetan spiritual leader or the South American mammal?
South American mammal.
Correct. Sue, in maths, what is 4 times 12?
48.
Correct. Patrick, in politics, in January 2002, which party leader announced his engagement to Sarah Girling?
The Liberal Democrats.
No, Charles Kennedy. Don, in travel, which city is closer to London, Paris or Dublin?
Dublin.
Paris. Lisa, in literature, which famous female Greek love poet lived on the island of Lesbos?
Pass.
Sappho. Toby, in the animal kingdom, which of these is an insect, a flea or a mite?
Flea.
Correct. Andrew, in 1964, French philosopher, novelist and playwright Jean-Paul Sartre declined to accept which prestigious award for writing?
Nobel.
Correct. Tony,
Bank.
in human biology, the medical term intercostal means between the what?
Stomach and...
No, the ribs. Gilly, in transport, the Eurostar train runs from the UK to France and which other European country?
Paris. Oh.
Belgium. Sue, in modern literature, what middle initial does the Scottish novelist Ian Banks add to his name on the covers of his science fiction books?
M.
Correct. Patrick, in English grammar, in the sentence "come up and see me sometime," which is the transitive verb?
Come.
C. Don, in the animal kingdom, what L is the name for the nest of a beaver?
Lair.
Lodge. Lisa, in the magazine Country Life, the frontispiece portraits are nicknamed girls in what?
Pearls.
Correct. Toby, in the 19th century, Isaac Pitman devised a system of what form of writing?
Calligraphy.
Shorthand. Andrew, in geography, which US city is situated in the District of Columbia?
New York.
Washington, D.C. Tony, the 1987 film based on the life of playwright Joe Orton was called Prick Up Your What?
Ears.
Correct. Gilly, in pop music, which former Spice Girl released an album called Schizophonic?
Jerry.
Correct.
Bank.
Sue, according to the Peter Principle, in a hierarchy, every employee tends to rise to the level of his what?
Own mediocrity.
Incompetence. Patrick, in Shakespeare, which queen of Egypt commits suicide by means of a poisonous snake called an asp?
Cleopatra.
Correct. Don.
Bank.
George Russell is particularly associated with which garden flower which he grew on allotments in York in the 1930s? Lupins or tulips?
Tulips.
Lupins. Lisa, in British wildlife, which part of its body can the common lizard shed to foil a predator?
Skin.
Tail. Toby, in literature, the biographer known for his 1918 book Eminent Victorians was lit on who?
Strachey.
Correct. Andrew, what V is a musical instrument of the violin family in the name of a perennial plant?
Viola.
Correct. Tony,
Bang.
in media, the 3 a.m. Time's up. I cannot complete the question, and you only banked £850 in that round out of a possible 5,000. Which wordsmith is worthless? Who is about to be edited out? It's time to vote on the weakest link.
Getting all his questions wrong makes Don the weakest link. The statistics reveal Sue is the strongest link. But who will the team want off?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Lisa.
Lisa.
Toby.
Lisa.
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 Toby.
Lisa.
Patrick, how are you doing as a writer?
I was all right until tonight. Now I'm so abjectly scared. I'm going to run away and hide in the toilet for the next 10 years.
How many copies of your Whitbread Prize book have you sold?
I think it's 24 now, but I'm hoping for a pickup.
A lot less than Lisa's sold.
I know, that's why I voted for her. I thought she was too successful and too young.
Don, never heard of the writer George Russell?
Oh, yes.
Didn't know about his flowers?
No, I didn't know one. No.
What do you know about Don?
Investigative journalism.
Oh, do you? What's your book called?
Town Without Pity.
Right. And what's it about?
It's about the campaign to free Stephen Downing after 27 years in jail.
Why Lisa?
I think she got as many wrong as I did at that round.
Nobody got as many wrong as you did. Lisa, you are the weakest link. Bye.
I don't feel any shame at all about being voted off in the second round. I feel quite proud of myself for having done this in the first place. And now I'm very much looking forward to going to the pub with my husband and having a nice big pint of lager.
Round 3 team, and out of a possible £10,000, you currently got in the kitty a pathetic £2,100. We are now taking another 10 seconds off the clock. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Sue. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Sue, approximately what shape is a whole Edam cheese, a pyramid or a globe?
A globe.
Correct. Patrick, in grammar, the phrase to boldly go is an example of a split what?
Infinitive.
Correct! Don, in literature, which 19th century author set novels in the fictional county of Barsetshire?
Dickens.
Trollope. Toby, in theatre, what was the name of the columnist described as unwell in the title of a play by Keith Waterhouse?
Geoffrey Bernard.
Correct. Andrew, in language, what C is an illicit escapade in a pickled flower bud used in cookery?
Cauliflower.
Caper. Tony, according to the remark attributed to Groucho Marx, a man is only as old as the what he feels.
Woman.
Correct. Gilly, in maths, what proportion of a ton weighs more, a quarter or a fifth?
Quarter.
Correct. Sue, which word meaning dilapidated consists of a name for a male sheep followed by a term for a handcuff?
Ramshackle.
Correct. Patrick, which common British garden bird related to the blackbird has a pale chest with brown speckles and is renowned for its song?
Thrush.
Correct. Don, in 18th century literature, what B is the surname of the author of The Marriage of Heaven and Hell and Songs of Innocence?
Bartram.
Blake. Toby, in January 2002, it was announced that which cloned sheep was suffering from arthritis?
Dolly.
Correct. Andrew, what Q is a four-letter word meaning a joke or a clever remark?
Quip.
Correct. Tony, in food, what type of food is tripe, meat or fish?
Meat.
Correct. Gilly, in media, a person who checks articles for spelling and grammatical errors is known as a what reader?
A sub.
A proofreader? Sue, in history, which political theorist wrote that religion is the opium of the people?
Marx.
Correct. Patrick, in pop music, which record label founded in 1947 shares its name with an ocean?
Atlantic.
Correct. Don, in TV, what S is both a regular character from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and the name of the bulldog in the Tom and Jerry cartoons?
Sam.
Spike. Toby, in the biblical book of Genesis, which two cities were famously destroyed for the immoral behaviour of their inhabitants?
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Correct, Andrew.
Bang.
In the animal kingdom, which elephants lead the herd, male or female?
Female.
Correct. Tony, in the musical The Rocky Horror Show, which character sings I'm Just a Sweet Transvestite from Transsexual Transylvania?
Off.
Frankenfurter. Time's up and it's not getting any better. You banked just £800. Whose review is too awful to contemplate? Whose sorry tale is about to end? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
For the second round in a row, Sue is the strongest link. Don is statistically the weakest link, as he was the only player who failed to answer a single question correctly. Can he survive the vote?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Don.
Don.
Don. Don.
Don.
Tony.
Don.
Sue, do you fancy anyone on here?
Not yet, no. But, you know, give us a bit of time.
Do you understand the game?
Just about, I think, now, yes.
No, I don't think so, Sue.
Oh.
Because there's no point banking on zero.
That was very silly, wasn't it? Yeah. I'm sorry, Anne.
Why Don?
I don't think he got any answers right. And he's a nice bloke and all that, but I thought logically he should be the one to go.
Toby, stand up straight. Take your hands out of your pockets. Why Don?
You rammed it home last time that Don was statistically the weakest player, and in case there were any doubt, he did get all three questions wrong in the last round.
Oh, so you can count. How's it going for you, Julie?
Fine.
Is it? Well, tell me about a couple of paragraphs you're most proud of from one of your books.
One lovely line, which I have a character called Rupert Campbell Black, and he said, "Man cannot live by bread alone, he needs crumpet."
Do you like crumpet, Julie?
Yes, with butter on a Sunday
Oh,
afternoon.
how disappointing. Why Don?
Because he got three questions wrong, I think.
Oh, don't you feel horrid voting him off?
Yes, foul.
Don, with 6 votes, you are the weakest thing. Goodbye.
I'm rather relieved to be voted off at this stage, actually. It was extremely warm out there, and one or two questions I just didn't know already, so it was nice to come off. Well, I'd like to see Andrew Morton voted off, really, because he's got a rather smug expression on his face, and he seems to have had all the easy questions.
Round 14, and we struggle on. £2,900 you've got so far. out of potential prize money of £15,000. You're down to 6 players. We're taking another 10 seconds off your time. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Sue again. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Sue, in science, the name of which chemical element used in the manufacture of computer chips is derived from the Latin for flint?
Sodium.
Silicon. Patrick, in literature, which controversial novel by Salman Rushdie led to a fatwa being declared on him?
Pass.
The Satanic Verses.
Sorry.
Toby, what J is the name of the patron saint of hopeless causes?
Joseph.
Jude. Andrew, in written French, what accent is a short line over a letter sloping downwards from left to right?
Acute.
Grave. Tony, in maths, which is a prime number, 73 or 99?
73.
Correct. Gilly, in literature, which author wrote the book A Child's History of England in the 1850s?
Oh, I don't know. Pass.
Charles Dickens. Sue, in history, what was the occupation of Edith Cavell during World War I?
She was a nurse.
Correct. Patrick, in geography, the river Limpopo is sometimes known by the name of which large reptile?
Crocodile.
Correct. Toby, according to the traditional children's rhyme, there were 10 in a bed and the little one said what?
Roll over.
Correct.
Bang.
Andrew, in modern literature, what is the name of the British author and husband of a Labour MP who wrote the thriller Eye of the Needle?
Ken Follett.
Correct. Tony, in home furnishing, what F is the name of a type of wallpaper with a raised, tufted pattern?
Flop.
Correct. Gilly,
Bang.
in language, what one-word literary term of Greek origin describes a ludicrous descent from the sublime to the ridiculous?
Bathos.
Correct. Sue, in food, which fish is used to make a roll mop?
Herring.
Correct. Patrick, in which Radio 4 comedy panel game must contestants speak without repetition, deviation or hesitation?
Just a minute.
Correct.
Bang.
Toby, which English cathedral has 3 spires known as the Ladies of the Vale, Lichfield or Lincoln?
Lincoln.
Lichfield. Andrew, in theatre, according to Sir Ralph Richardson, acting is merely the art of keeping a large group of people from what?
Boredom.
Coughing. Tony, in which sport were Nancy Kerrigan and Tonya Harding involved in a headline-making dispute in 1994?
Ice skating.
I'll accept. Gilly, in literature, which author wrote the novels The Choir, Other People's Children and Marrying the Mistress?
Oh, Joanna Trollope.
Correct. Sue, in architecture. Time's up and you did slightly better. You banked £1,200. But which village is now missing its idiot? Who has a brain only their publicist will admire? It's time to vote on the weakest link.
The statistics show that Tony is the strongest link because he was the only player to get all his questions right. Toby is the weakest link. But how will the votes go?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Toby.
Andrew.
Andrew.
Toby.
Andrew.
Patrick.
Gilly, why Andrew?
Well, he's very clever and crafty, and I just thought he might sneak in and win, so I thought I'd get him out tactically.
Well, interestingly, statistically, the worst player was young Baldy over here. But Andrew, loyal and faithful servant of the royal family, with 3 votes, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Tony has performed best against Annie, so it'd be nice to see him win because he's really held his own against her wit and repartee, and that's no small feat out there.
Round 5, team. Your total so far is £4,100. If you had any brains, it would by now be £20,000. There are 5 of you left, another 10 seconds coming off the time. We start with the strongest link from the last round. Good heavens, that's Tony. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Tony, in the animal kingdom, Ruddy, Smew and Shoveler are species of what kind of water bird?
Pass.
Duck. Gilly. In pop music, the Alanis Morissette singles Head Over Feet and Ironic were released from a 1995 album called Jagged Little What?
Pass.
Pill. Sue. When the euro first entered general circulation at the start of 2002, which had a greater value, €10 or £10 sterling?
£10 sterling.
Correct. Patrick. Which word meaning something soft and pulpy is used as a command to a team of husky dogs?
Mush.
Correct. Toby. In dressmaking, crewel, darning and bodkin are all types of what?
Thimbles.
Needle. Tony. In literature, in the Jules Verne novel 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, what N is the name of the submarine captain?
Pass.
Nemo. Gilly. In writing, what three-letter word is included in brackets after a word or words that, although incorrect or unusually spelt, have been accurately quoted?
Sick.
Correct. Sue. In American law, what F is the general term for a serious crime?
Felony.
Correct. Patrick. In geography, in which town in Cumbria is there a pencil museum?
Pass.
Keswick. Toby. In language, which word can come before float, tooth and chocolate to make three well-known terms?
Milk.
Correct.
Bank.
Tony. In literature, which fictional Scottish doctor created by A.J. Cronin shared a practice with Dr. Cameron?
Dr. Finlay.
Correct. Gilly. In geography, what is the name of the northwestern arm of the Atlantic Ocean? Alsatian Sea or Labrador Sea?
Labrador Sea.
Correct. Sue. In politics, when talking about the Watergate scandal, Richard Nixon said when the president does it, that means that it is not what?
A sin.
Illegal. Patrick. In nature, which three-letter word can mean a narrow beam of light or a fish closely related to the skate?
Ray.
Correct. Toby. In which sport do participants sometimes end up suffering from punch-drunk syndrome?
Boxing.
Correct. Tony.
Bank.
Which contact sport was named after the school at which it is said to have originated in 1823? Time's up. You banked £600. Who clearly has no lead in their pencil? Who should hand back their advance? Who should stick to colouring books? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
Statistically, Patrick is the strongest link. Tony is the weakest link as he gave the most wrong answers, although he did bank money for the team. Will that be enough to save him from the vote?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Gilly.
Tony.
Patrick.
Tony.
Tony.
Patrick.
Yes, Anne.
Why Tony?
3 questions and he got 2 wrong. So I thought he should probably go, I'm afraid. Off.
Another of your one-word sentences.
Sorry.
Did you think Tony was the weakest link?
Yes, I did think he was the weakest link.
Well done, Patrick. Whole sentence. Tony, joke's on you. The team have decided you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Toby might go in the next round.
He's had a couple of great rounds and a couple of shaky ones, and he might be due a shaky one.
Round 16, and out of a possible £25,000, you have achieved a very sad 4,700. There are 4 of you left, another 10 seconds coming off the time. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Patrick. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Patrick, in science, what M is the name given to a device that converts sound into electrical signals?
Pass.
Microphone. Toby, in literature, which writer whose novels include Anna of the Five Towns also has an omelette named after him?
Pass.
Arnold Bennett. Gilly, in politics, the minister who succeeded Chris Smith in 2001 as Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport is Tessa who?
Charles.
Correct. Sue, what F is defined as a private war waged by individuals, families or clans against one another?
Feud.
Correct. Patrick, in hairdressing, which meat product gives its name to the style of side whiskers that is broad on the cheek and narrower at the hairline?
Chop.
No, mutton chop, Patrick. Toby, in fishing, what is a Kirby bend, a hook or a reel?
A hook.
Correct. Gilly, which city of the UK is the home of the radio station Radio City?
Bristol.
Liverpool.
Bang.
Sue, in theatre, in which year did the musicals Funny Face and Showboat first open in New York, 1927 or 1977?
1927.
Correct. Patrick, which two-word Latin phrase refers to the school or university that one has attended?
Alma mater.
Correct. Toby, in history, what I was the collective name for the countries of Cambodia, Laos and Vietnam?
Indonesia.
No, Indochina. Gilly, in books, Close to the Edge is the year 2000 autobiography of which TV presenter and comedian?
Rolf Harris.
Jim Davidson. Sue, in UK geography, Dove Cottage, once the home of William Wordsworth, is in which national park?
In the Lake District National Park.
Correct.
Bang.
Patrick, up to and including the 2001 season, which cricket ground has staged the most test matches, Lords or the Oval?
The Oval.
Lords. Toby, in modern literature, who wrote the spy trilogy Game, Set and Match?
Len Deighton.
Correct. Gilly, which Irish playwright and wit attended the Portora Royal School, Enniskillen, during the late 1860s?
Oscar Wilde.
Time's up. Oscar Wilde was the correct answer, and you got it in time. And in that round, having got rid of so many so-called weaker links, you banked just £350. Who hit delete and has erased their intelligence? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
The statistics reveal Sue is the strongest link, as she was the only player to answer all her questions correctly. Patrick has gone from being the strongest link in the last round to the weakest link in this. But will the other players notice that?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Toby.
Toby.
Sue.
Sue.
We have a tie team. Toby and Sue, 2 votes each. When the vote is tied, the strongest link has to cast the deciding vote. And the strongest link in the last round was Sue. Now, Sue, I know you're having difficulty getting the hang of this game because you continue to bank on 0. But I'll take this slowly. You now have a choice between Toby or nobody else.
Well, seeing you put it that way, Anna, I'm afraid I'll vote Toby off.
Well, Toby, what can we say? You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I don't feel too bad. I'm amazed I got as far as the last 4. I was expecting to go out way before then. Obviously, the person I'd like to be voted off next is Sue McGregor, because in her Solomon Act, she decided that I was for the chop.
Round 7, and out of a possible £30,000, you have achieved so far 5,050. There are 3 of you left. Another 10 seconds are coming off the time. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round, that's Sue. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Sue, in geography, a ship canal that opened in 1894 linked which city to the River Mersey?
Manchester.
Correct. Patrick, in maths, what is 44 divided by 2?
22.
Correct. Gilly, in the Gospel, according to St Matthew, what was the occupation of Joseph, the husband of the Virgin Mary?
A carpenter.
Correct. Sue, which 3-letter word can mean the instrument used for winding a clock, an explanatory diagram, or a low island off the coast of Florida?
A key.
Correct. Patrick,
Bank.
in TV, which soap opera has featured appearances by Russell Crowe, Barry Sheen and Clive James?
Neighbours.
Correct. Gilly, in politics, which former pop singer founded the monster raving loony party?
Screaming Lord Sutch.
Correct. Sue, in 1965, commercials for which product were banned from British television?
Alcohol.
Cigarettes. Patrick, in the USA, the city of San Francisco lies on the coast of which ocean?
Pacific.
Correct. Gilly, In English grammar, which word is the genitive case of the personal pronoun I?
Mine.
No, my. Sue, in geology, the Mohs scale, which measures the hardness of minerals, goes from 1 for talc up to how many for diamond?
10.
Correct. Patrick, in Greek mythology, which titan became identified with mountains in North Africa?
Pass.
Atlas. Gilly, in biology, air is inhaled through the nose or mouth into which organs?
The lungs.
Correct. Sue, which foodstuff is now sold as small, medium, large or very large following the abolition of the 1 to 7 sizing system?
Eggs.
Correct.
Bank.
Patrick, in which religion is the Sabbath often referred to as Shabbat?
Judaism.
Correct. Gilly, wedge, putter and driver are all pieces of equipment used in which sport? Golf. Time's up. Golf is the correct answer. And you did quite well, team. You banked £1,350. Now, in round 8, you get the chance to treble what you bank, which means in the next round, there's £15,000 potentially to be won. The question is, who is most likely to help you raise that bank balance? It's time to vote on the weakest link.
In a reversal of fortune, Sue is now the weakest link, whilst Patrick is statistically the strongest link. But at this crucial stage in the game, who will be taking the final walk of shame?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Sue.
Patrick.
Sue.
Patrick, you horrid, horrid little boy.
Why is that horrid? Who was I? I had to vote for someone.
Nothing to do with her voting you off in previous rounds.
Last time, definitely. This time not at all, no.
Gilly, what happened to sisterhood?
Well, the thing was...
Shocked!
No, the thing was that I was caught by that wonderful sentence, not wonderful sentence, but a sentence saying that the person who would bank most, and Patrick is a terrific banker. I mean...
The bad news is, Sue, that with 2 votes, you're about to depart. The good news, Sue, is that back in the green room there are 5 men. You are the weakest link. Bye.
I was quite surprised Gilly voted me off, actually, because I don't think I would have voted her off. I mean, she was very good. And I thought it wasn't a very sisterly thing to do. So rats, Gilly. That's what I feel about you.
Round 8, team. And you've won £6,400 out of a possible £35,000. Gilly and Patrick, 2 of you left, and this time you have 90 seconds. But whatever you win in this round will be trebled and added to your total to make up your final prize money. So £15,000 is at stake. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Patrick. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Patrick, in fashion, which item of undergarment can be underwired or padded?
Bra.
Correct. Gilly, in the Gregorian calendar, what is the 5th month of the year?
January.
May. Patrick, in 1986, which Minister of Defence resigned over the Westland affair?
Lawson.
Michael Heseltine. Gilly, in pop music, which song by the Beatles begins with the line, "Ah, look at all the lonely people"?
Where do they all come from?
Eleanor Rigby. Patrick, in UK geography, Salop is an old name for which English county?
Shropshire.
Correct. Gilly, which Wild West outlaw was shot and killed on the 14th of July, 1881 by Sheriff Pat Garrett?
Billy the Kid.
Correct. Patrick,
Bank.
in geography, Malin Head is the most northerly point of which large island in the British Isles?
Isle of Wight.
Island. Gilly, in biology, what is the name given to 5 children born at one birth?
Quinn.
Correct.
Bank.
Patrick, the 1996 film The Crucible is based on a play by which American writer?
Pass.
Arthur Miller. Gilly, in 1941, Admiral Lutyens was in command of which German battleship when it was sunk?
Scharnhorst.
The Bismarck. Patrick, in geography, the Great St. Bernard is an alpine pass on the border between Italy and which other country?
Switzerland.
Correct. Gilly, In which year 2001 film adapted from a best-selling novel did Nicolas Cage play an Italian...
Captain Corelli's mandolin.
Captain Corelli's mandolin was the correct answer, but you were well out of time. And between you in that round, you banked £350, which will treble and add to the winnings from the previous rounds. That means prize money tonight is £7,450. But of course, only one of you can take that money away for your charity. So now you'll play against each other head-to-head. I'll ask alternating questions, best of 5. Whoever answers the most questions correctly wins. It's as simple as that. So Gilly and Patrick for £7,450. Let's play the weakest link. Patrick, as the strongest link in the last round, you have the choice of who goes first.
I'd like Gilly to go first.
Gilly, according to the Disney song, what are wonderful things? Their tops are made out of rubber, their bottoms are made out of springs.
There's a new... I don't know. Past.
Tiggers. Patrick, which two-word term is used to refer to the peculiar round markings in corn and wheat fields supposedly left by either hoaxers or aliens?
Crop circles.
That is the correct answer. Gilly, which word for a strip of leather used for sharpening razors is also a slang term for a fit of bad temper?
Strop.
That is the correct answer. Patrick, which white metal with the chemical symbol PD is also the name of a famous London variety theatre?
No idea.
Palladium. Gilly, in roulette, if you place £5 on a single number and win a payout of 35 to 1, what is your profit in pounds?
5 times 35, 5 times 25, 5 30. 175.
That is the correct answer. Patrick, in art, the British Galleries opened in November 2001 by Prince Charles are a feature of which London museum?
British Museum.
The correct answer is the Victoria and Albert Museum. Gilly, for what do the letters MBA stand in postgraduate education?
Bachelor of Arts, but with something in front of it.
The correct answer is Master of Business Administration. Patrick, which US president who came to power in 1945 kept a sign on his desk which read, "The buck stops here"?
Eisenhower.
The correct answer is Harry S. Truman. Gilly, if you answer this question correctly, you have won. Which gormless character in the radio programme The Goon Show had the same name as a small, round currant cake?
Henry Crumb. Crumb.
Correct answer is Eccles. Patrick, in classical music, Richard Wagner married Cosima, the daughter of which Hungarian composer?
Bartók.
No, the correct answer is Liszt. That means, Gilly Cooper, you are tonight's strongest link, and you go away with £7,450. What are you going to do with the money?
I'm so pleased. I really am pleased.
No, dear, we're not interviewing you.
Sorry. No.
What are you going to do with the money?
It's a memorial in Park Lane for all the animals that were killed in wars.
Patrick, you leave with nothing. Join us again for the weakest link.
I was terrible meeting Anne. I had planned, all my friends said to me, you know, you've got to give her a run for her money. And I completely collapsed. As soon as she turned her steely gaze on me, I was butter melting. It was awful.
I think everybody was being very kind to old Jilly, you know, because I was second oldest, and they thought they'd let the old thing in. And then I won. It was just lovely.